cool.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. You hit the play button.
Okay.
All right. Simplify your VR program. Okay, so if you were coming here to learn how to make your life harder, I think that talk is in an hour from now. I'm Brooks Filippin. I'm head of business development at ManageXR.
Yeah, and my name is Mads Troelsgaard, and I'm CEO and co-founder of SynergyXR.
Yeah. Today, we want to tell you a little bit about our companies, why we're both striving for simplicity in the VR deployment, talk about some of the philosophy around simplicity, and then also some of the challenges that you might find. So today, ManageXR is a mobile device management platform. We help organizations distribute applications, lock down devices, and monitor devices when they start to scale. We're a pretty traditional technology. You install us onto your headsets, and it allows you to communicate with your devices. But where we started was probably a lot like many of you. We were a developer. In 2018, we created frictionless games for patients in pediatric hospitals. And our goal was to reduce stress and anxiety before surgery. And we were incredibly successful at that. We actually ended up deploying about 1,200 headsets across 200 hospitals. But it was incredibly hard the entire time. You know, when you give someone a VR device, it's a new environment, it's unfamiliar, and it's not obvious what they're supposed to be doing. It's also hard for like the clinicians and the nurses. Like, how do they help this person that's trying VR for the first time? I think many of you have probably been in the situation where you've handed someone VR, and then you kind of have to figure out and become an expert right away on, you know, what are they seeing, what do they need to do right away, and how can I help them? And the other thing that was hard for us at that time was updating apps, just getting the right content to the right people at the right time. And so to solve our own issues, we had to really simplify our own business. So we built these tools. We built the ability to kiosk, the ability to distribute apps, the ability to like monitor the headsets and just lock it down and make it way, way easier. And so today we're ManageXR. We work with about 2,000 organizations globally, deploying VR, really trying to get the basics of a VR the foundation of a VR program so that they have the building blocks to grow and do incredible things at their organizations. So excited to kind of get into that today. And now I'll pass it off to my colleague Mads to tell you about his company.
Yeah, so in many ways, we share the same story. So we are also developers, and we used to run Unity Studios that was actually founded by the founders of Unity Technologies. And for over a decade, we made custom-made applications for companies all over the world, big organizations that needed customized development applications within Unity, and made a lot of different training platforms and applications, and also data visualizations and marketing apps, etc. But then we also realized, and also from the market, that there was a need for a tool that made it a lot more simple for non-technical people, so not Unity developers, not Unreal developers, where you could actually go in and make your own experiences within augmented and virtual reality without being a developer. So we started to build SynergyXR in 2018 and released the first version in the summer of 2020. And SynergyXR is like a CMS system where it's easy to use, easy drag and drop features. We cover a lot of different platforms in so hardware platforms, so Pico, HTC, Meta, Apple Vision Pro as well, in the same platform. It was just made it super easy to utilize AR and VR. So that's basically the story. We can dive deeper into that as well, the thoughts behind it. Yeah.
So what is it we're actually trying to simplify? Well, there's probably too many things to list on this specific slide, but from both of our perspective, I'll start with the ManageXR piece. We're just trying to simplify your ability to communicate with devices. When you get a new device, it's probably a consumer device. Meta is the most common device in the industry, but we also support Pico and HTC, Lenovo, and many others. But these devices are new technology. It's possibly new to you, and it's definitely going to be new to your users. So how do you set up and understand and work with this hardware? The next thing that we want to try and simplify is the pain point of just getting the right content to the right people. And that's where our partner SynergyXR steps in. And then we want to just simplify the IT process. At some point, many of you are probably innovators within a larger organization, but you'll have to work alongside your IT to implement this type of technology. And having the right tools and partners alongside you to be able to simplify and understand and have the answers that they're going to ask is a huge part of not only getting the pilot program kicked off, but ultimately scaling and changing the way that you train and you work with employees within your organizations. I think what we'd like to do next is kind of talk about a customer use case, and how we're doing this together, and how we kind of simplified this for Grundfos. So I'll hand it to Mads to kind of tell us a little bit about their story and what they're kind of doing to keep it simple so that they can ultimately scale and grow.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, so we started out a long time ago with together with Grundfos, and of course they needed, first of all, kiosk mode to simplify it. They started also in, so basically 2 tracks. One of them was more marketing driven, where they went out to expos and also sales meetings and stuff like that. And the other track was VR training. And in both situations, when they're on an expo floor and they basically leave headsets out to people to just come and take them on, naturally they need to start in an experience. So that's what ManageXR helped us, and made it possible to do that. And then, of course, the other thing was that Grundfos was able to build everything themselves in the SynergyXR platform with drag and drop features, again, building up full environments for this. And on the training path, it was just extremely important for them, for the blue-collar workers on the shop floor, when they were jumping into a VR experience. We basically needed to remove all friction points, so they basically jumped into the right experience at the right time without having to worry about any of the technical stuff. We also had some failures. I can also mention that in this. Of course, we started out, I think, in 2016 or 17, where we rolled out some trainings on the shop floor. And back then, there was computers. So all the headsets was also wired back then, and it was like really, really complex, and it was not being used because it was so complex. And it was a huge investment, actually. It was out on many different factory floors around the world where people could go in and do the training, but it needed a person to help them out in this. And that's also where, of course, the headsets, the standalone headsets also helps out. But of course, the whole journey was about, for the last many years we've been into this, it's about simplifying the whole process. And what was really driving this, of course, was the use cases and business cases behind this. And that's what we also need to focus on. That is solving the problems of our customers, so at least they can focus on solving the problems and not about all the technical stuff. So making it easier for our customers to solve their problems. And within the training application, that really kicked it off, and luckily that was a good case where we took a workstation on the shop floor that took peer-to-peer training for a new employee for sampling a tool with 70 steps. It's quite an expensive tool that went into a product line, and that went into a big, very expensive press. And if something went wrong in that, if the tool was assembled wrong, of course you could ruin the tool, but you could also ruin the press, and then the product line was stand still, and that just cost a lot of money when something like that happens. So what we did was creating the first training session here, where we managed to cut down the training time down to 4 days instead of 6 weeks to 3 months of training a skilled employee, and pass that. And that kind of kicked it off with Grundfos, and today they use it all over the world, which you all guys also. And every time we have an update, we can just click one button, and then it goes out to all the headsets around the world through your system.
Yeah, I think, at ManageXR, when we work with SynergyXR and we work with an enterprise, the only reason really this enterprise is buying VR in the first place is to solve a problem. And they want their employees to train better, they want their employees to learn and retain that learning. And everything that gets in the way of that is in some ways considered a failure. And so ManageXR, we're very much kind of hidden in the background a lot of times. If people aren't getting into the training as quickly as possible, we can improve that, we can simplify that. So it might just be like when you turn on a device, it launches them right into the solution. Like that is the simplest way to get people to their goal, which is starting their VR training. They don't need to be concerned with, troubleshooting a device or learning what the difference between devices are. Everything that ManageXR wants to do when it works alongside enterprises in SynergyXR is remove all friction and all trouble from the user that you're introducing this to. So that's our goal. That's what we always set out to do.
Yeah.
I'm looking at our slides now. It looks like we'll keep going. So how are we doing that at ManageXR? Well, as I kind of alluded to earlier today, when I was talking about why we built this business, what we do today is actually kind of a traditional thing. We're a mobile device management system. So you'll see us all over the world actually in all parts of your daily life. I think when you go to the airport and you look up at the TVs, no one takes a Roku remote and turns on these TVs. Someone goes to the airport, they log into their computer, and they can see every single TV, and it's playing arrivals and departures, it's connected to the internet, it's doing its job. These people are managing their devices. So with ManageXR, we applied that concept to XR. As organizations scale and start to bring this in, we want them to know exactly what every device is doing along the way. So if you have 1,000 devices around the world, where is every single device? How is it being used? Is it up to date? And is it achieving the goal of getting those users into the training content as effectively as possible? So that's why we exist today. We're actually exhibiting, so if you want to come meet us afterward, we'd love to chat with you. But ultimately, we're always trying to make it simple. Focus on the fundamentals, make it so that the customer, or I call them the customer, but it's your employees or your students or your colleagues. We want them to have the simplest experience possible, and companies like us can kind of take all of that troubleshooting work on the back end and solve it before it ever gets to the user.
Yeah, and it's the same thing about SynergyXR. Basically, it's about removing friction, and building a VR application can be very time consuming, and you still need some Unity developers, you need some 3D content developers, and you need some domain experts to how to assemble the whole process and application. And building a training application can easily take 4 to 8 months time, depending, of course, of the complexity. And then if there needs, then you need to compile it and then distribute it. So how could we make this process a lot easier? And that's what we're striving for every single day, minimizing all the friction that is out there for preventing you guys to utilize AR and VR to solve the problems that is out there in the organizations. And I would say when we look at the whole foundation, so it's been developing a lot since 2020 when we first started developing the platform. But actually, yesterday we just released a no-code tool also for very interactive trainings upon the platform. Also, we have seen, so VR headsets, it's definitely growing and it's definitely getting out there, but it's still not mainstream. It's not something everybody has out there. So we also added PC and MacBooks, iOS devices, so iPhones, iPads as well, so you could join in the same ecosystem. And also we know And that's what we knew from the beginning, already when we started developing this. There's not only VR, it's also going to be AR. And we started seeing the first devices like the Apple Vision Pro also, where you can go into AR mode. Also in Quest 3, we can also turn on, pass through. So the whole AR and VR will also be a mix, but it's something that's behind the scenes, and that's what we are taking care of. So you don't have to worry about it. We have the same UI system on all devices, super simple. So if you don't have a VR headset, you start learning the platform to learn how to add stuff and how to use all the interactions. Then once you get on a VR headset, you know exactly what to do because you learned it on the device that you were safe with. And that's also why we think it was super important to go to mobile phones, because mobile is the first device that we all use the most, also in our private lives. So being comfortable, with and using the technologies that you have at hand, I think it's super, super important, and just simplifying that whole process. And then you can be able to focus from day one on what's actually important for you to build on this. And this is a journey, so we come out with, I think, with 3 to 4 releases every year of updates every time, and it's of course being easier and easier, and you have to worry about less and less. And of course, there's still issues out there. There's still problems like 3D models, but it's not only our problem, it's also Meta's and Apple's problems. We're trying to solve that all together, also with the CAD systems. But every day we make it easier, and it's already a lot easier also with the CAD models, actually. Yeah.
So I think the point that I really want to bury home is, when ManageXR started, a lot of this didn't exist. You did have to kind of create everything to start a VR program. And I think a lot of people talk about kind of the ebbs and flows of the VR industry and, where are we in that? What gives me encouragement today is that there are companies that have built these foundational tools that you don't have to build again. For example, I think ManageXR is obviously an incredible management platform for your XR devices, so you don't have to build another management tool yourself. SynergyXR built a no-code, incredible, rapid response authoring platform that you can deploy to your L&D folks, and you can continue to iterate on this training. So you don't have to become a Unity expert. So as these foundational tools continue to enter the market, as the devices continue to improve, I think it is simpler and easier today to build a VR program. Now, I'm looking at the audience. I know some of you have the most incredible VR deployments already in the world. So I'm probably talking to someone that was 5 years 5 years from now. But for those of you that are here that do feel like maybe it's too big of a mountain to climb, from my perspective, it's a couple devices with a problem to solve, an easy way to help create that content like SynergyXR, and a simple management platform that can just make it easier for your users. And with those ingredients, you can really actually start a small VR program at your organization. Keep it simple, and then from there, hopefully impress your colleagues, impress your bosses, and create a new way to train your employees. So that's my hope for you all, to grow the business.
Yeah, I could just add on. So the whole mantra is that we're also building on from actually day one, since 2018, where we started this. We saw that if it's not easy, it will never be implemented with success in a company. It needs to be extremely easy. And that's what both of our companies work on every single day to make it as easy as possible. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
A couple of minutes for questions.
Yes. Any questions? Luke, do you have an API question or anything?
Yeah.
No.
Well, if you do have questions, you can reach out to Mads and his team. They're around the conference. You can also go to your website. And then if you have questions about ManageXR, Luke and I are boothing. Would love to learn more about all of you and what how you made it simple, what your current challenges are, and ultimately just excited to see you all continue to thrive and build the next way to train. So
And we also have a talk tomorrow at 12:30.
that's right.
Go to that one as well.
Yeah.
Make it simple and successful kind of thing is a motto I can certainly live by. So thank you very, very much, Brooks Filippin and Mads Troelsgaard. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll take about a 5-minute break and we'll be back at 4 o'clock.
Thanks.